What is holistic living? What's it all about to live a holistic lifestyle? And more importantly, why is it actually very important for women's empowerment? Welcome to the channel. I'm Kim Marie. This channel is all about empowering women to be their most authentic, empowered self, aligned with their true nature. I encourage you to subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos, and be sure to check out my many playlists because there's a lot of great tools and tips there to help you feel more aligned on your true path of fulfillment and meaning. Now, today we're going to talk about holistic living. This is a deep passion of mine. The concept of being holistic, it comes from the word holism, which is really rooted in this idea that Aristotle spoke of, that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Now, this is a really important thing to consider because we live in such a reductionist society. The patriarchal dominance culture has really reduced everything into its parts, right? And even our food, we're taking supplements, a part of the vitamins that are in many different foods collectively with other vitamins or nutrients, right? Or we're reducing aspects of our being, and we see lots of modalities, whether it's healing modalities or coaching and mentoring like what I do, that are focused on one thing. There's the relationship, there's the career, there's the money, there's the health and wellness, or those kinds of things. Or maybe in the realm of medicine, there's the dentistry, and then there's the podiatrist, and then there's the the chiropractor, and so on and so forth. Everything gets separated out. And what we're losing, what we've lost in this separation and reductionism, is this holistic approach. Because when we only look at the parts, when we only look at the parts of our existence, of our life, of our health, of our learning, of our family life and relationships, we are not able to fully thrive and see the bigger picture and understand how all of it works together. Now, that is one of the biggest passions that I have, is understanding and helping others see the connectedness in all things. And so what does holistic living mean? What does it really look like? First and foremost, I want to talk about the idea that in order to live holistically, we have to look at all domains of our life. This means looking at the physical, okay? How is our health and well-being, physically speaking? Are we physically fit? Are we physically energized? Are we, physically mobile and flexible and stable, and those kinds of things? We want to look at the emotional aspect, okay? What's going on with our emotions? Are we ignoring them and stuffing them under the rug? Are we letting them run amok with no emotional mastery whatsoever? Are we understanding the root of our emotions and maybe what triggers them, what makes them happen? We want to look at our thoughts, our mental capacities. What are the stories we're telling ourselves? What are the old patterns and pathways and mindsets that we've been holding on to that might also be dictating how we live in our life? We want to look at the spiritual and the soul elements of our life and our existence and understand, what's our connection to spirit? Do we even have a connection to spirit? Is it important to have a connection to spirit? Why or why not? It's all about asking the questions and really stepping back to this bird's eye view. Too often in our patriarchal dominance culture, we get stuck in the details. We get stuck in the muck. And we can begin to understand that all these aspects of our being are interrelated. So we can look at the aspects of our personhood, like the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, but we can also look at the aspects holistically, living holistically, having a holistic lifestyle, when we look at the aspects of our life. Where are we living? What's the environment that we're in? Where are we working? What kind of work are we doing? Does it align with some of those personal aspects of our nature, right? We can look at our education and our learning and the ways in which maybe our children are educated. Is that education looking at the whole of their being? Is it addressing their mind, their body, their spiritual life, their emotional life? Is it allowing for expression of creativity as well as the intellectual academic sides of things? Is it allowing their personality to thrive and come out? So I hope you're starting to see everything. We can begin to look at life itself with all these domains and aspects of our being, but then each of those domains, each of those aspects can then be broken down further to look at it holistically within that domain. But ultimately, it's all about this bird's eye view and being able to look at all of them, not just one part, or think that if we just get that one thing, if I just have enough money, if I just have enough time, if I just have a better relationship, everything else in my life will be better. Because most likely, if you're struggling in one area, other areas are suffering too. They're all related. And there's something in medicine called referred pain, okay? I might have an ache in my shoulder, and yet I go to the chiropractor and I find out that my hip's out of alignment, right? So the real problem is the hip, not the shoulder. But in the reductionist society that we live in, and the ways in which we tend to reduce everything down to the thing that's bothering us, all right? We look at the symptoms, we look at only that thing that's like top of mind. My shoulder hurts, right? And we don't think about what's the source of that pain. So it's the same in our life. In that case of the chiropractor, the source of the pain was coming from a misaligned hip, right? In the source of our life, we might be thinking, my career is just getting me nowhere. I'm not happy. I'm not moving forward. And we may think it's all about the career. I've got to find a new job. I've got to get some new skills. I've got to figure out how to make this work, right? And in reality, we might actually be suffering in our health, maybe our mental health, maybe our emotional health, or maybe it's referred pain coming from another domain of our life, like maybe it's financial. It's not really about the career itself, but it's more about our lifestyle and the way that we're living, and that the career isn't aligned with that or fitting with that financially, or maybe situationally or environmentally. Maybe we have a really long commute that's stressing us out. A lot of times we put the blame, so to speak, on one thing without looking holistically at the big picture. Another aspect of living holistically, having a holistic lifestyle, is that it is so intimately connected with nature, okay? Nature is holistic. Everything relies upon everything else. We're hearing so much about more and more species going extinct in today's world, and more struggle. We've heard about things like the honeybees, the reduction in the quantities, and how necessary the bees are for pollinating and offering so much to the world. And we know in the forest that there's all this science behind what's going on under the surface of the soil, and the connectivity going on, and the ways that trees can speak with one another. Nothing happens in isolation, right? And we don't realize that when we take an attack or blame one thing, or only focus on one thing, everything gets impacted in some way or another, all right? So the key is to step back, and nature is such a powerful tool for us to model after. It's got this incredible ecosystem that works or doesn't work depending on what's going on, and we can really see in nature, we can observe in nature the ways in which things work well together, right? And that if one thing suffers, other things suffer, and we can begin to apply that to our own lives. Why is a holistic lifestyle, or living a holistic life, so important to women's empowerment? Well, first of all, this is a very feminine focused lifestyle, okay? Having lived in a patriarchal dominance culture, we have been taught that we have to push forward, keep doing more, give and give and give until we have nothing left to give. We have to, keep that stiff upper lip and make things happen, and keep the focus on the goal, right? This goal-oriented, ultimately dominance and control-oriented lifestyle. And so as women, when we try to feel empowered, a lot of times we've adopted this idea that we have to go after the high-paying career, that we have to find a way to be taken seriously, or we have to compete with the men and find our position in that. And a lot of times we see tremendous burnout because we're not looking holistically at what that's doing to the rest of our lives, right? We're not looking at how we are relating in a more balanced, harmonious way with life itself. We're not tuning into that feminine way of viewing life from a bird's eye view and understanding that diffuse awareness. I've shared about diffuse awareness in other videos, this idea that we understand the bigger picture. We're not going to rely on just one piece and only focus on that. Now, that being said, the river, the flow of the river, the movement of the river needs the riverbanks, right? We do need structure. This is not to say that we don't need the masculine, but medicine, education, government, politics, healthcare, all of that has become so ingrained and encapsulated in this patriarchal dominance viewpoint that it is not holistic. And ultimately it has lost the feminine. So by returning to a holistic lifestyle, by allowing holistic living to enter into our lives and to practice holistic living, we begin to have a greater awareness. We start to notice what's going on. We don't blame one thing when it might be caused by something totally unrelated. We don't only look at the symptoms when there are root causes happening, right? There are so many different ways in which holistic living supports us to be more empowered women. When we have that awareness, when we can look at all of it, we're able to tap into our intuition. We're able to connect more deeply with our dreams and our sense of meaning and purpose. We're able to allow for inspiration to flow through us and not be so focused on one thing that we can't even hear it, right? We're able to dream. I can't tell you how many women I talk to and coach that tell me, I don't even know what I want anymore. I'm not even sure of what I want. Or, I don't have a dream for myself. It's always been about my career, or it's always been about my kids, or it's always been about my family. But I've never really thought about other aspects of my dreams or how that plays into my well-being. And of course, when we don't look at the bigger picture, life will show up to tap us on the shoulder and say, you've got to pay attention. Maybe we get ill, forcing us to slow down. Maybe we end up burnt out, significantly burnt out. Maybe we have a fluke accident or something like that just, even stubbing your toe can be like a moment of, oof, whoa, okay, it shocks us into realization. But here's the thing, going back to that piece of nature, when we do things like go lay on the earth, sit under an oak tree, observe the birds and the hawks in the sky, or allow ourselves to be bathed in the light of the full moon, or bathe ourselves in a frigid, cold mountain stream. These are things that I personally love to do to rejuvenate myself, to bring myself back to that wholeness. Living holistically is about remembering that we are whole. We are inherently whole. We are multidimensional beings with so many gifts to share, so many ways in which to share them, that when we only look at one thing, we are not able to really stand in our true nature, right? And women's empowerment, empowered women, are standing in their true nature. They're able to tune in to their inner wisdom. They're able to connect to those depths and course correct if they feel off course and keep moving forward. And they're able to navigate the extremes of life, and they're able to allow themselves to be with difficulties and have acceptance, even while striving toward new possibilities and new opportunities. Some of the benefits of holistic living include just that, this idea of a sense of inner calm and peace, reduce stress and anxiety, right? We can move beyond the overwhelm and the self-doubt and begin to find our center, right? When we live holistically, we have a sense of wellness, a sense of overall well-being. That good old saying, all is well with my soul. That is what so many of us want. So many of us long for that. All is well, not just my family is okay, or just my career is okay, or just my finances are okay, or just my health and wellness. All is well. That's holistic living. And that's something we've been forgetting. And that is something that keeps us from feeling empowered as women. All right, I hope that helped, offering you these different thoughts of what is holistic living, why is it important, and what are the benefits of it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do you live holistically? How do you live holistically? I can offer another video about tips for living holistically and what we can do to live holistically. And I'd love to hear what kinds of questions you have about that. So leave that information in the comments. And again, be sure to subscribe. Another little piece here is I have a free gift for you. It is a guide called Journaling as a Path to Come Home. Now, journaling is one of the tips that I would offer about how to live holistically, because journaling engages our will. It engages this part of us that's writing physically, and it engages our thoughts, and it also allows us to express our emotions. It's a beautiful way to begin to connect with all parts of our being. It's a wonderful inner guide tool to do that. So I encourage you to download that. It's completely free. It's a fantastic guide that I think you're going to really enjoy, and it'll help you come home to yourself and see more parts of yourself so that you too can begin living holistically.